What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Best Women's Boxing Show, period. You like how I said that, Jay? It's like very very sexy. I am Cynthia Conte, one of your co-hosts.
And I am Jeandra LeBeauf, who has finally made it. And look, the hair has come back, and
I love it.
I know, we're back looking to our normal,
it's like
the old
that
school
kink, that very kink curl.
It's looking like the old school episodes.
Absolutely, but no, you look fab. We're matching.
You.
We have no idea. We're matching once again.
Always
in the same colors. Yeah.
Always.
But you know what? We're not going to do a run it back. We're not going to do any of the sort because we have a legend sitting on this table, on the brown table talk here at Best Women's Boxing Show. Period. We got Mr. Stitch Duran. Hey, you know what? People don't even know. Like, his name is Jacob Duran.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? I don't think a lot of people knew that. When I would read about you, people were like, "What's his name? What's his name?" They only know you as Stitch. But anytime someone has a nickname, how do you get your nickname? How did you get your nickname?
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. Yeah, even Michael B. Jordan, I asked him, Michael, do you know my name? He goes, yeah, Stitch. No, do you know my real name? He said, no. And he asked everybody, hey, anybody know Stitch's real name? I said, it's Jacob. And he said, Jacob? Nah, you're not a Jacob. You know?
Do you ever, if someone said Jacob, do you look?
Those are, yeah, I usually, you're right, but that was the people that I knew when I was Jacob. But the name came out of school of kickboxing. And I used to work with world champion Dennis Alexio in Vallejo, California. We did a show in Vallejo, California. Well, his sparring partner, David Rooney, I was a trainer, I had my own school, I was learning to be a cut man. And knowing now, you know, he got cut and I got some tape. I used to see the cut men do what they do, right? And they'd get little tape and make little butterflies. And so I did that. And he says, oh, I don't have to go to the hospital. You send me some stitches, I can call you Stitch. So we were just talking about him the other day because this is 30-something years ago. The last thing I knew about David Rooney is that he was a fisherman in Alaska.
Oh, wow.
But I just had one of my old students call me, say he loved me, you know, from years and years and years from way back, you know. And but he says Dave Rooney is a pilot for the charters in the Bay Area of San Francisco.
Okay.
So hopefully I'll run into him. I don't even know if he knows how much he changed my life. You know?
Wow, I think you should.
All over the world. You know, I mean, people, what's your real
I think that would be a great reality show.
Yeah.
For real.
He probably is like, whoa, I remember this guy. This is a guy that like did my head.
Well, he was my trainer.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
You know what? Let's put it to the test right now. Where is Stitch's camera? This is your camera, Stitch. Tell him right now what he meant to you and how he influenced your life.
David Rooney. Yeah, we're just talking about you. Mike Duran and Rodney called me the other day, and we talked about how you gave me the name Stitch. And but just want to thank you, man, because the whole world knows me as Stitch, which is kind of a mind blower. Yeah.
What a journey.
Yeah, it blows my mind every time.
When did you know that you weren't tripping off of blood? Like, you know, it takes a special kind of person to deal with blood and all that stuff. Yeah. Like, do you remember that day when you were like, this isn't so bad. Maybe I could work with this.
Yeah, you know, it's a good question. Nobody's ever asked that. That's a very, very good question.
Thank you.
But here's what I did in the beginning of my career is mentally I always told myself it's not my cut. You know? It's not mine. I don't have to worry about it. There's no pain on that. But it's something I enjoy doing and taking care of them, and you know, being cool, calm, and collected just was really the whole compass to everything.
You have had an incredible journey. I feel like you're as recognizable in boxing as any fighter from any era at any time. Do you ever have time to sit and reflect on your journey in boxing and just all the people that you worked with and just what those early days of making those butterflies on somebody's face and what it led to for you?
It blows my mind every day. I thank God. I was talking to this young kid, Ozzy from Australia, that was sparring with Caleb Plant today, and I said, you know, I thank God every day that I'm doing this, that I'm here in Vegas, number one, and doing what I love doing. But I said I've worked with more great fighters than anybody in all sports, and I have more stories than anybody in all sports with all these great Fedor, Emelianenko, the Klitschko brothers. I mean, I have a personal story with each one of them.
Wow.
Every time I see you, Stitch, every time I see you walking through the corridors of a hotel, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a huge fan of yours. So I'm like a fan-tard. And then, but I always say, God, I always used to see you when you were on UFC. Yeah. And, you know, and it's one of those subjects, it's kind of like, okay, well, it's already been said and done. And it was like, you saw it, and we all know cutmen and trainers, you all wear your
Outfits.
sponsors,
Yeah.
aka sponsors. Exactly. So you got to make it show, because it's not, you got to get paid. Everyone has to get fed. And then when the UFC, this was years ago, when they went to Reebok, it was like, oh shit, it's all Reebok. And I'm like, oh, how are people? And you couldn't get your own sponsors. So did you leave or did you get fired? I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because people still, it's been 8 years. People
8?
All over the world
Wow.
still bring that up. And F Dana, F UFC, F Reebok, Stitch, I'm the man for, this and that. But what happened is we were working on sponsors, and, sponsors would come to me and I would log in my deal, and then I would negotiate for you, the other cutmen, right? And we're making money on sponsor watches. My hands are always on TV.
Oh yeah, someone
right?
said you have 50 watches you bring to the fight.
I don't bring them. It just depends on the wardrobe.
Wait, what kind of watches do you like? What name the brands?
Well, Curtis and Company's my number one. KSI fought Logan Paul.
Yeah.
He came. We stayed in Beverly Hills, and Curtis Wong, the owner, came and brought me a couple watches, and then he sent a couple more to the house and all that. So
why not glasses sponsors?
Well,
you wear
that'd be
glasses.
that's a good idea too.
I get a 10% cut.
Hey, listen, I always spread the money out.
Oh my God! You know what? You need diamond rings too.
But I was thinking, I can't wear these funky glasses. And,
you never know.
Travis,
You
Travis?
could. No, if someone gave you diamond encrusted gold, 24 karat gold glasses.
Listen, these say Versace, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know what. So my glasses broke.
Period.
Okay, so I go to my optometrist, and good guy, and trying on. He says, "Let's try these on. I'll give you a 60% discount." They fit like a glove. And so I bought them, and I went home, and my wife Charlotte said, "You got Versace?" I said, "Huh?" I was going to paint that black.
No, you better be tagging Versace.
For sure.
I'll tag him for you when I post it.
We'll work for you.
It's really good because these are the way that fighters and the camp make money is because sometimes the fighters do not give a proper percentage, or there's not enough money in the pot for everyone. So I get it.
Yeah. And let me finish up.
With
please
the UFC. With the UFC.
So what happened is I did an interview because they called me. Would you be interested in doing an interview how the Reebok deal affected the cutmen? Well, I grew up as a farm worker in the Central Valley of California, picking tomatoes, peaches, cotton. I tell people, you ate it, I picked it, right? Born and raised in a migrant camp. CPC number 12, that's my address. So I thought about my parents, because my parents fought for the rights of the farm workers during the Cesar Chavez era. So the interview I did with John Nash, I've never met him, never read BloodyAlbo.com. John Nash called me and says, would you be interested in doing an interview how the Reebok deal affected the cutmen? And I thought, and I said, you know what? If I don't man up and speak up, my parents and my family. So the interview was very politically correct, but it went viral all over the world. F Dana, F UFC, F Reebok, and I'm getting calls from all over the world. And my friends call me. I'm at Costco with my wife, and they call me, hey, and Dave, hey, can you talk? And I knew what it was about because it went viral, crazy, insane. And I get home, and my friend says, the only thing he said is, because of the interview you did about Reebok, the UFC's not going to use you no more.
So you got let go.
Yeah, so I said, all right. I said, Mark, do me a favor. You tell Dana, I said, he ain't got no balls, that he should have brought me in.
Period.
Or he should have came and told me personally. He's the one that brought me in.
Yeah.
I knew Dana before the UFC. He's the one. I was doing a K1 at the Bellagio. Bob Sapp was fighting. Mike Tyson's in the audience, and Dana asked for my card. Next day.
At the Bellagio in LA?
No, here.
Here? They did K1 fights?
K1, Scott Coker,
Wow.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
So next day he called and said, man, we bought the UFC, and would you be interested? And I knew this much about grappling. So me and Leon Tabbs was the original UFC guy from the original UFC. They brought him on board.
Okay.
And Dana was smart enough to say, let's have a cut man on each side.
Right.
And, we wrapped the fighters' hands, and from there it grew and grew. And
So it was a cut man that wrapped the fighters and worked on the face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So those were the options that because MMA guys, it was such a new sport, they didn't know how to wrap hands, they didn't know how to work cuts. So they brought Dana, that was a smart idea.
The boxing
he
world
brought the boxing world in, and from there now they use like 4 or 5 cut men. And so I'm getting all these offers from all over the world. All over, phone calls. I did 57 interviews like in a week.
Wow.
And so a couple of weeks later, UFC's doing their first big show on Fox Network, and the dust is settling, right? After a couple, but it was insane. And Karen Bryant is interviewing Dana, and the question is, will Stitch Duran ever be back?
Shout out to Karen Bryant.
Oh, I love her.
So, well, no, you know what? And you know what? Stitch will never be back, and this and that bullshit and all that. And then at the end it says, Stitch and I were never friends.
Oh, wow.
That's still blowing up in his face, yeah. So...
I mean, okay, let's just say UFC now has a billion sponsorships, as you can see.
That's a
The
shame.
Reebok thing didn't.
Yeah, and I knew that wasn't going to last. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't monopolize on one
yeah.
because it's going to eventually fail. If UFC, if Dana White personally calls you and said, you know what, Stitch, I apologize. Would you, will you please come back and be a cut man for so-and-so?
Yeah, you know what, and yeah, of course, you know, for me it's a business, you know, and I understand, and you know, Dana just, he did stupid things, I understand, you know, but basically, I mean, he brought me in, he changed my world and all that, but yeah, it would have to be under my terms, of course, but I saw Nate Diaz at the Canelo Triple G fight, and Nate wants to promote. I said, Nate, if you really, really want to get some stuff, and let me be your cut man in there at the end of the fight, like trading places, give me $1.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And, but yeah, no, I mean, Pride, I did fights in Pride all over the world.
Yep.
And so I even had the guy from Reebok call me. I'm at home having breakfast with my wife and my son, and the phone rings, and I put it on speakerphone. It's Mike, and listen, Stitch, I met you before. You're a good guy, and just want to let you know we had nothing to do with it. You know, it was that big.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, no, yeah, of course. So, you know, you do the right things, but people still stop me all over the world. All over the world.
You are a legend.
Yeah, because
Well, not so much the legend that I stood up from. I mean, I have royalty in Dubai that, you know, Wesley Snipes, man, UFC did you wrong. But the best compliment I got was when I did the top ranked fights at the Bubble, at the MGM.
Yeah.
during
Mm-hmm.
COVID. Luis Doria, that trained Anderson Silva, a lot of the top
Right.
Brazilian fighters. He has a Brazilian fighter there, and he comes up to me and he has his tray. And I hadn't seen him in 8 years since the UFC. He says, Steve, we, the trainers, the fighters, we thank you for speaking up because we couldn't.
Aw.
That said it all.
Right.
You know what? Yeah, you were the right person to
Yeah.
be the face
Yeah,
of
yeah.
cut men
Yeah,
because
yeah.
everyone knew you. Imagine if they did that in boxing.
I know.
Oh my God, we'd all go on protest for it. We would go on protest for you guys.
For sure. Tell me this. So, in all of the legacy of all the fighters that you've worked with, you mentioned that you've worn a lot of different types of watches. What's the most expensive watch? Like, who did you have to be the most expensive for? Like going to the ring. What was the watch brand?
It
and,
wasn't so
what's
much,
the
you know,
deal?
a lot of them came during the UFC, which were kind of low profile companies, but great watches. Curtis and Company has been my most high end watches that he's given me.
How much the watch cost?
Man, we don't talk business. Come on,
I
man.
mean, we don't
You're not my agent. You know, hey, and you know what?
We like watches.
I use, you know, I'm a master in marketing. I'm a savant in marketing. In the Creed movie, I used 2 of Curtis and Company's watches. One to match my outfits.
Oh, so they didn't say you cannot wear certain things in your contract?
Michael gave me carte blanche. You know,
Wow. We need contracts like that, girl.
Listen, just this week, I have my own stitch product, Stitch Tape. I signed off because I wrapped Michael's hands, and they filmed us, and I got some stitch. I ordered more tape because I know it's going to kick in big time once people see it.
So
I'm
do
wrapping Michael's hands.
you use your own stitch tape for all
the
your fights?
Yes, the last Balboa movie.
The Rocky Balboa
I did
movie.
all the
You
Creed
did the
movies.
Creed movies.
What other movies have you done?
Well, the first one I did was Play It to the Bone, Woody Harrelson
That's it,
and
that's
Antonio
it.
Banderas, right?
Yes.
So I got stories with all of them. If we got time, I got stories. So the day I left RJ Reynolds Tobacco Company is I got a call, and I worked corporate America with them for 23 years. That's why I knew how to do the interviews and marketing, because I worked for RJ Reynolds for so many years. The day I was leaving, I get a call to do an audition for this movie, and I'm working with my boss, and he let me go, and I did the only audition I've ever done. Put my jacket on. So I got the job. So I wanted to be Antonio Banderas' cut man because he's Latino. I'm Latino.
You could be his father or something, your brother.
So, but Chuck Bodak, the legendary Chuck Bodak, got in front of me, so I had Woody Harrelson. But that was great because in the movie, Woody got cut, and the coaches say, "Nah, you got the best cut man in the business." And so that was my first one. Second one I did was Ocean's 11 with Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, Vladimir Klitschko when he was there.
When he fought Lennox Lewis. And after that, I started working with the Klitschkos. And I did Balboa and Rocky Fight's Last Fight. I did one with Kevin James, Salma Hayek.
That's the one, yeah. That's one of the movie I was looking for.
Yeah, that was funny, and that was great. And then Creed 1, 2, and 3. And, Michael told me in Creed 2, I'm wrapping his hands. It's just him and I. Every day in the trailer, wrapping his hands and we're talking. And I kind of put him in the boxing mentality. That's why we kind of hit it off like that. But I told Michael, I'm so proud of you and Tessa and Ryan Coogler and Steve Capo, the director. And he looks at me, he says, Stitch, we went from being actors to writers, producers, and directors. And he looks at me and says, I'm directing Creed 3, and you're with me as long as you want.
That is awesome.
Come on, we have that relationship.
I love that. Run it. Okay, so when you work with real blood, with real fighters, and then you move into the movie situation, what is the hardest part about working with the fake blood when you do with that? Because the Creed,
she's good.
She's really good.
The other Creed movies, it's a lot bloody. He was in with Florian.
Florian, yeah.
Florian was in that movie, and then my man, Jonathan Majors.
Chocolate
is
love.
I love Jonathan Majors.
I'll tell you stories about Jonathan.
Tell him I want to marry him.
I'll tell you. Really, I'll tell you.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows what time it is. I just interviewed him. He knows what it is.
All right. So you're talking about right off the bat. Anyway, you asked great questions.
So the fake blood versus real blood.
Yeah. So it's I can't. I have to wet the swabs because when they in the makeup they asked. I was an advisor. Off the record, everything, they asked me for everything, and I wanted everything. To do everything you see in boxing, I had a lot to do with it during the movie.
I was going to say, they had to have somebody to talk to.
The refs, the keeper, timekeepers, everything, I helped them all out. The doctors, everything, because I know my game, right? And, but yeah, they gave us all carte blanche, man. It's just, it was great just to do all that.
You ever think like you're just a cut man in an actual sport, like a real bloody, you can possibly die from this sport, and now you're like in Hollywood and carte blanche. It's. Yeah. Did you ever think that your life could even go? Where did you see yourself when you became a cut man? What did you think your life would be like besides fixing bloody cuts?
Well, I started off as a trainer. I grew up as a farm worker, and I always played. Mexicans play baseball, right? In the summertime, all the farm workers would come from Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Colorado, and on weekends we'd have baseball games. So I walked down to a college, Merced College, which was 9 miles away from my little town of Planada, and you'll see Planada on my collar. I always give them props, right? And so I walked on and started playing baseball at the end of a car. So I would go to school with friends, and they would leave after school, and I'd stay and practice. And so I joined the Air Force in 1972, and in '74 they stationed me in a place called Thailand. And I always said if I went to the Orient, I'd want to study the martial arts. That was during the days of Bruce Lee. So they sent me to Thailand. Well, Thailand sounds, I saw my first Muay Thai fight downtown. I had friends that were there like 3 months before me, and they took me downtown to Banchan to see some Muay Thai. And I didn't know what Muay Thai was, and got through a kick and boom, said I'm in. So that whole year, I literally dedicated my whole life to that and got back into boxing. When I got back to the States, I lived in Oakland and got into King's Gym, and I got into boxing. Then I moved to Fairfield, California, the suburbs, and opened up a school of kickboxing with a credit card.
I love that. I read that story that you had a credit card, you got a deal, and then they're like, they opened it, and you were a trainer, manager, and a cut man. You were everything. You were literally everything.
Yeah. I've gone through all the steps, but being a cut man floated to the top. And with RJ Reynolds, they were starting to downsize, so I put in for a request to come to Las Vegas, right? Had my school of kickboxing and still working with RJ Reynolds. And all of a sudden, months later, I know they're downsizing. I get a call, say, look, there's an opening in Vegas, no traveling, but you got to be there in a week. And I said, man, I can't be there in a week. I talked to the manager, Augie, that let me go, thank God. He gave me 2 weeks. I swear to God, 2 weeks. I transferred my school to my student. I sold my house, family in a U-Haul and drove 9 hours to Las Vegas and took like a $25,000 a year cut in pay. But my wife supported me, my family supported me,
and look at where
and
you are.
here now. So
Shout out to the wife.
and,
She's holding it down. She's your home.
100%. You know, then everything you see, I'm not real fan. Everything is family.
That's how we know you got
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
You don't show it.
No. Everything I said, Mama, she got the money. No, I know. The UPS guys know her. The FedEx guys know her. Hey, Mr. Rand, another package sign here. And, you know, so.
You know, when you work
that's
as a
fine.
cut man, it's a different type of vulnerability that you see in a fighter. You know, the trainer can see so much, the family, but you are seeing them probably when they're most vulnerable, truly, because they're injured and they're cut and they're hurt, and you're tasked with fixing them. So when you look at working as a trainer and doing those jobs, doing that part, and then working as a cutman, what does that teach you about fighters in a way that working as a trainer doesn't?
You know, that's good. You guys are real good.
She's really good at these questions, I'm telling you.
know, the thing that I was talking to Brian Salmon today from Channel 3. He's a sportscaster.
love Brian.
Yeah, Brian's a good friend of mine, and he's
Guy
at,
that I
Yeah.
met.
and he's at the gym. But
Brian's
you know, he's
cool.
saying, I said, you know, Brian, the relationship, I'm different than everybody else with these fighters because they know my job is to take care of them, 100%. That's my job. And then, like he was saying, you know, and you don't bullshit. You know, they know that, you know, you come with true passion and this and that and this. Yeah, but I said, you know, they're all modern day gladiators, but they're all babies.
Yeah,
Deep inside,
yeah.
and my job is to take care of the baby. Now, I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'm going to let you listen to a voice that was sent to me. Vladimir Klitschko, when he fought his last fight with Anthony Joshua, I didn't see him till Friday at the weigh-ins because my daughter Carla had gotten married Wednesday in Crete, and so Thursday I flew to London. And then in the nighttime, so I didn't see him. But I'm talking to him, and finally at the end, I put my hand on his shoulder, and I said, you know, Vladimir, don't worry about nothing tomorrow. I'm going to take care of you like you're my son. Because I know they can't sleep at nights. I'm putting the Vaseline on him right before Michael Buffer does the announcements. 90,000 people, we're this close to each other, and he says, you could call me son. Oh my God. It gave me chills, but I knew I got into his mind mentally. And one of the best fights, he lost it, but it was a rocky
was a good
moment.
fight.
It
But
was a
that's
rocky
when he
moment.
gave you trust.
It was before that. He called me, hey, daddy, you know. But then months later, I saw him in Germany. And I said, Vladimir, that moment, why? He said, Stitch, there's very few people I trust in my life. You are one of them. So
His daughter and I have the same. Our daughters are both named Kaya.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you know, they're both good guys, man. So you're talking about the fighters, what's the relationship? So during the movie Creed, Michael asked me, Stitch, who should give away the WBC belt? And I give him the story of Jose Suleiman, the president, and created it. Now he passed away. His son Mauricio is taking it over. So it should be done by a Mexican. But they had 250 extras and we're in Atlanta, and there's one Mexican guy over there, nice tie and all that. I said, see that guy? Have him give the belt away. So I got him got him
wow.
But that's what I do. So anyway, so I'm telling him, yeah, so I'm telling him.
Did he play Mauricio or Jose Suleiman?
I don't know.
Just some random guy.
Yeah, he was a representative for the WBC.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. So I see Mauricio at the Earl Spence and Ugas fight, and I tell him the story, and he says, well, let's take a picture and let's send it to the Klitschkos because they were both WBC champions.
Yeah.
And, they're in the middle of the war with Russia.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Vitaly is the mayor and Vladimir is really kind of the face. But I'm going to let you guys listen to this. Well,
We love exclusives.
listen,
here.
yeah, this is pretty much what.
Awesome.
My two favorite men, especially Stitch, with whom I spent so much time talking, and he actually saved my career on a lot of different stages. If Stitch wouldn't be in my corner, I would not make the record of 12 years being a champion. So that's so great to see you both, and Stitch is the man.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
that
that's,
is so
you
beautiful.
know.
Beautiful.
He didn't have to say any of those things or do that.
But what made it even special is he's right in the heart of battle.
Yeah.
Right.
And for me to have gotten him out of that moment to talk about something that we had in relationship, which was boxing, just made me feel good. And what a blessing. So
That's beautiful.
yeah, you guys got an exclusive on that. So.
Oh my God!
I feel so
I know. I
warm.
feel so blessed and
Yeah.
grateful for you to do it here with us because it's everything is organic when we talk about things because we never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, she asks the best questions.
I like to say barbershop talk.
Yeah.
We work well together. We have,
Oh.
our strengths and
Yeah.
stuff. And, we like to get the best stories out of you guys. We want to know the things that other
Well,
people don't
well,
ask.
let me give you my first story with Vladimir.
Oh.
Well, number one, we'll go way back, is December the 12th, 1991, when the Soviet Union first broke, we took a team of professional boxers and kickboxers to Kiev to fight the Ukrainians. I had a kickboxer, Mart Longo. The Klitschko's they were amateurs, but they were big guys, big names already. And so, I saw them when they trained here in Vegas, and I brought that up and all that, and that's how we came with a relationship. So when it was time to do Ocean's 11, I did that, and then you told Manuel Stewart, I want the guy that was my cut man in the movie to be my cut man. Well, the first fight, he fights here in Vegas at Caesar's Palace with DeVere Williamson. He had just come back from losing his world title to Layman Brewster.
Yeah.
And so I'm working, and Manuel Stewart's training him. Well, I'm at the MGM watching people walk into the fight. Emmanuel Stewart has his tuxedo. He's commentating for HBO. He's walking by. He says, Stitch, I want to talk to you about Vladimir. And I look at my buddy Steve. Did you see what I saw? Well, the next day he called. Says Vladimir wants the guy that was in the movie to be his cut man. So the first fight, he's fighting DeVere Windsor. He won the first 3 rounds. Okay, didn't look great. The 4th round, he gets dropped.
Yeah.
And the 5th round, he gets that unintentional headbutt. And you were asking about the different type of cuts. Well, that big vein we all have when we laugh,
Yeah.
that one was severed, and it bleeds like a pig. I've worked on those before in the UFC. So percentage-wise, the best time for him to win that fight was right then and there. So when the doctor came, I look at the scores. Who's ahead, who's not, and how's he doing? When the doctor came, she says, Stitch, what do you think? And I've worked with her many times, Dr. Goodman, in the UFC. I go like this, says, yeah, it's pretty bad. She stopped the fight, went to the scorecards. He ended up winning the fight and became champion for 8 years.
Wow.
So the next day, she calls and she says, I just spoke to Emmanuel Stewart and Vladimir Klitschko, and the plastic surgeon says, it was a good thing you stopped the fight when you did because it was close to an optical nerve, and it would have created nerve damage.
We see
Double
this.
vision.
We see this a lot. That in recent fights, and you always hear like the corner is too brave to stop it, and there's who was it, Navarrete? His face was gushing out with blood, and he did. To be fair, he did get a 27-second standing 8 for 27 seconds.
The 8 times 4.
I know, right? But it was, I don't know. We don't know what doctors see because we're all fans staring at a television. We're like, you need to stop this because it's so fat and gross. But, what are you looking at if you're advising a doctor like this needs to be stopped? What are you looking at? Is it hitting a nerve that he might die? I don't know.
When that's a good question also again.
Oh, thank you. I got one good question.
Hey, 2-1. 3-1.
All your questions are good.
But, the bottom line, when the doctor and someone like me and a referee looks at a fight, we determine if the fighter is at a disadvantage, unfair disadvantage, blood in his eyes, punched, whatever, that's when they stop a fight. But depends on where the cut is, what kind of cut it is, whether it's going to get into the eyes, whether it's going to create double vision. Those are things that you got to look at, and that bravery of you being the cut man or the coach and letting this kid. I went into the Mayweather gym today, and the poor kid I walked in, and I guess he was just getting whooped up. That they told him, don't go another round, but keep in mind now, I'm going to educate you guys, this combat sports, all combat sports that we work, none of us coaches, cutmen, none of us have to be certified to be called pros.
I was just going to ask, like, what does one have to do in order to be what you do? Are there classes? Or is there a certification? Or just one day, Jay and I would be like, we're cut women.
Doing it.
Uh-oh, she's catching up to question number 2.
We know how to we know how to sew.
Okay.
Has anyone ever, in the very, very short amount of time, because you're sitting there with an end swell, putting Vaseline and coagulation, whatever the shit that you guys put in those cuts.
No, the things you got to do is evaluate the cuts. And there's so many guys that do so many bad techniques. when I was learning to be a cut man, I went to a fight in Richmond, California, boxing. And the guy did a good job. And this was boxing only. At that time, it was boxing only. I said, hey, man, you're doing a good job. You know, I'm trying to learn to be a cut man. Can you tell me what you did? He says, fuck you. He says, I'm taking this to my grave, and you got to learn like me. And he walked away.
Wow.
I felt about this big. But I said, I'm never going to be like that, man. I teach.
Yeah.
I do seminars, and I have videos out there. And it makes me feel good when guys says, hey, Stitch, I learned how to wrap pants looking at your videos. And it's not, you know, because it's not fair to these young fighters to have somebody that don't know. And you're talking about Navarrete. Looking at fights over the weekend, there's so many guys that just don't know what they're doing.
What's her name? The one that fought Serrano.
Yeah.
Did they not have a cut man?
That was horrible.
Her thing was
that was horrible.
I mean, it made for a very good fight, but it was bad.
But that's not fair to that
It's not
young lady,
fair.
you know?
I mean, she couldn't see. She was busy pawing at her face, and we don't know how different the fight could have been if she had a proper cut person.
Yeah,
in the corner.
It was terrible. But I say it all the time. Like I say, once again, none of us have to be certified. So I teach.
Crazy.
I did a seminar in Mexico City. I've done some overseas, and throughout the United States. And people ask me every time I'm working fights and in the dressing room. I always answer questions.
What type of fighter is most prone to getting cut? Like in terms of physicality, like sometimes I look at like people's bone structures and things, and I think, ooh, if you have like prominent like brow lines or prominent cheekbones, maybe the right cut, maybe the right punch will cut you. Like, is there a type of fighter or even a lifestyle that's more prone?
Probably more lifestyle, no defense. But, as we're talking about it today, I remember Julio Cesar Chavez fought Oscar De La Hoya, Caesar's Palace. And at the weigh-ins, Chavez is sitting back, letting the sun absorb into his face and all that. Well, the old theory used to be that sun, it toughens up your skin and all that. But as you look at the game now, more flexibility you have with your tissue, the least likely you'll get cut. So not to say you're not going to get cut, but yeah, your bone structure, hard bones and all that could make a difference.
So then if it's about the skin, with the skin, the more flexibility your skin has to do with hydration.
Yes.
And if you're losing weight for a fight, then you're starving down, you're not drinking a whole lot of water because you got to make weight. So do you work with like a nutritional person to make sure they're not, they're not just thirsty to death, fight week, because their skin becomes more susceptible to being cut if they're dehydrated?
Yeah, like the Klitschko's, they used coconut oil.
That's so smart.
Yeah, instead of Vaseline, because it does clog up the pores and all that. So
I feel like that would actually help heal it faster.
Probably so. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Coconut oil is good.
Coconut oil, you slather it all over your body.
Yeah, but that theory of even the Vaseline, the theory of Vaseline is so that punches will slide and you won't get cut. But if that was the case, I wouldn't have a job. So I don't know if that theory even is consistent, but it's good because it gives me good TV time.
Where's the camera? Where's the camera? Yeah. So a shout out to all the coconut butter manufacturers out there. Get with Stitch Duran, because it's really about coconut butter to really get the skin to where it won't cut, and not the Wonder Jelly. Vaseline.
There's times out when they'll come out of the corners and then the ref will be like, no, there's way too much. Is there a certain amount a max amount, like palm amount? Palm amount?
Yeah, you don't get a spatula and it's more on you get punched and it falls, or it just you just too much is too much,
Yeah.
And so there has to be some kind of proper etiquette on Vaseline on that.
When the skin start looking like, I watched this one, I can't remember, I'm not going to out the fighter that it was, but I remember during the broadcast, I don't remember what it was during the broadcast, but they had so much on, and it was a black fighter, and the skin was looking like this notebook. I'm like, too much Vaseline.
Well, but here's another little, let me put you in check on that one, is sometimes, because I keep it in ice, the Vaseline, cold, and sometimes when you have a dark skin, you'll still see some of the Vaseline. It looks like an overabundance. And so a little education on that.
See, us dark skin, we get the shit end of the stick of it. You know what, Vaseline, you need to make darker colored skin, like pigmented, the shades. Out of all the fights, I know that you are Tyson Fury's cut man.
Yeah.
But you were not his cut man when he fought Otto Wallin.
Right.
I remember sitting there in Vegas for his very first, his Las Vegas debut, and he had like a vagina cut this big. I'm not kidding. Thing was so fat and just. And you can pull it up and you'll totally.
No, I watched that fight.
Travis, you can pull it up and you'll understand. Oh yeah, it was like. Capetio told me, I remember, I go, what did you do? He's like, and in all the interviews, he's like, I just threw in as much Vaseline it can pack in there. And I mean, he literally used, I think, a whole jar. But okay, I know that you're Tyson's team, but when you're looking back on that fight, when you look at that cut, everyone thought that fight should have been stopped because that thing was like that.
Well, it was big, yeah. No, it was. And probably any other state, it would have been stopped. Right.
And, but it's Vegas.
Well, no, exactly. Well, and like saying, once again, even though it looks bad, but yeah, it could have because the blood was going in the eye. But Capetio, Jorge's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I'm watching him work, and he was kind of put in that position, unexpected to be a cut man.
He didn't know.
And,
he's a trainer.
He's a trainer. So 3 days later, I went and met with him. I said, look, I want to meet with you because, number one, you brought the credibility of the cut man up.
Mm-hmm.
And then being Mexican, you brought us up, right? But there's some things that you did wrong that I'm going to show you how you could do them right because the next time he fights, all eyes are going to be on you. So I went through all these different techniques. But he's one of the guys, and Bob Arum said, no, you know what? He told Tyson Fury, get stitched, he's a better cut.
Yeah. I mean, and I remember.
Which is fair.
I interviewed Capetio and we talked about it, and he said, I believe Tyson Fury came out and said, you helped me, you saved my career. Like I won that fight because of you. Honestly, if that cut got worse, because everyone really thought that it was going to be over. It was bad. And I believe he gave Capetio like extra money just because, and then I think it helped out his gym because it was during, it was like, he's really helped out Capetio even after, like during COVID, it was almost shutting. So because of that, of helping him, Tyson Fury has like rewarded him in tenfold.
Yeah. He's just now doubling his gym.
I used to train there.
He's putting a sauna in there. He's putting a nice room, and
good for him.
So he's a lot of people recognize that he's quality. And so bless his heart. As a trainer, not as a cut man.
What's one fight where the cut was just out of control and you thought, I don't know if I can get this to stop?
You know what? God, they've never stopped a fight on me.
Ooh.
Yeah, come to think of it, I thank God. But there's when I would recommend, if let's save him for another day. Not so much blood's in the eyes and all that, but he's getting beat up and it's not going to, chances of winning a fight are slim. I'll make a decision, and that's not my job, but I'll make a decision. I did that with Andre Duran when he fought Jose Esquerigi. He didn't get cut, but he was taking the shots that give you long-term damage.
Oh.
And I'm looking at the doctors and they're talking, and I get into the ring and there's like about the 8th round, and I say, Andre, the doctors are thinking of stopping the fight. Do you want to continue? And he goes, small. But enough for me to say, done. And Virgil didn't know, Hunter. No. I said, no, he's done. One more round. No, he's done. As long as you give me that no, you're done. But the next day, him and his wife called me, and they thanked me. Like 8 in the morning, woke me up and said, man, thank you. I just didn't have it.
Because at that moment, fighters, they want to go out on their shield. When fighters say, I want to die in the ring, let me just finish it out. But outsiders that really understand and know they can't fight because this is lifelong damage. I'm not going to say name any, but have there ever been fighters that have called you after the fight and said, why did you stop it? I could have kept going.
Never. Yeah.
Good.
No, never.
Good.
I know there was one girl in the bare knuckle fights that she fought first round, and just right in the bottom of right here. Oh. It's like you got a razor and just cut it, right? Oh. And in bare knuckle fights, the referee can stop the fight, and I love this rule. They bring him to the cut man with the doctor looking at him, and the cut man has 30 seconds to evaluate whether the fighter could go out or not. And the referee says, you got 30 seconds. I said, I don't need him. I'm not going to let her go out. No. I said, look, when you go in the back, you look at that cut in the mirror, you'll thank me. And she thanked me.
Oh. Yeah, because they're in that moment. They want to continue and fight.
Yeah, of course, the warriors. I tell you, they're gladiators. They're modern day gladiators, and win or lose, I have respect for every one of them.
So what does the cut man watch? You know, fighters and trainers, they watch film of fights, and what does the cut man watch to keep his skills sharp?
Well, I'm sure a lot of guys watch my videos.
What do you watch?
I always watch the corners for every fight. If it's already recorded, if I know the fighter's not getting knocked out, I'll fast forward to the corners and I'll study the corners and my family, my wife, my kids, they know what's right and what's wrong. Dad, this guy is putting the swab in his mouth and the bloody swab, and Dad, this guy is doing this, and they know, that's what I look for. Just to see how incomplete this game is with education.
We were talking about this off camera before we started, that you were supposed to be in Jake Paul's corner. He's going to be fighting Tommy Fury. Yeah. And we said it, at the very beginning, he was a YouTube boxer, and we're like, oh my God, no. And then he became this force in women's boxing. And then he's fighting. He has signed actual fighters. And we interviewed a couple of them, and they're good. Serrano is now undisputed. Where do you see Jake Paul going in this sport as his cut man?
Well, I hope he calls me the second time. He will.
You're the best.
And I think it makes sense just for the business side of it. Because these guys, KSI and these guys, they're like 20 million followers and all. It's insane. I didn't know that stuff existed, but I know it's a different world. Because the first time KSI fought Logan Paul, we're at the Staples Center, and once we get in the dressing room, we'll put our stuff there. The coaches, the corner guys will go to the ringside and look at the ring and the stairs and all that. And I knew it was a different clientele because Leon and the two coaches, British coaches, are walking by and they're YouTubers. Hey, how you doing? Shit, nobody knew who I was.
You got fans, Stitch.
I did. Hey, so wow. So I knew it was a different world. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. But bless their heart, they're doing a great job. You're asking where he's going to be in boxing.
Yeah.
What he's trying to get, and I'm working with people trying to get boxers unionized or at least have some association.
Yeah.
And Jake Paul's for that also.
I love that.
I've sent him a message. We stay in touch somehow. But yeah, so he's there for the good run.
It's needed.
And, it's good because the money that he's making, he's putting.
Yeah, and that's, I think a lot of people are so upset with that. He's called out different people in different sports that it's ridiculous. But you know what? If he can do this in boxing, and he's really disrupted, him and his brother have disrupted the sport, which is incredible because now it's like he's really making a difference.
Yeah.
And I really believe that he's going to be able to unionize boxing. Like there's certain sanctioning bodies that do certain things for fighters if they're hospitalized, but it needs to be an all-around sport because there's so many fighters retiring with no money. They have no health care. They're world champions with legacies, and these people need it. Yeah. So good. You know what? Go on, Jake Paul. Fight. Keep on doing it.
Yeah, and let me kind of, in closing, you're talking about all these issues that you just brought up, right? About 23 years ago, I put a documentary together with a young kid that just graduated from AFI, American Film Institute. And we interviewed all these people and it's called Boxer's Nightmare. And I got Emmanuel Stewart, I got Mills Lane, so anyway, yeah, it's in YouTube. Job put it on YouTube, but anyway, he passed away a couple months ago, young kid. Oh. And I hadn't seen this film in such a long time, but I looked at it as a remembrance of him. And everything that is happening in boxing, we all brought it up and we talked about it and we had solutions, and nothing's ever been done. So we had for referees, Mills Lane, before he had a stroke, Richard Steele, Joe Cortez. For boxers, Mike Tyson, before he got his tattoo, a week before he got his tattoo, Mike gave me a powerful quote Nietzsche.
Oh, we need to watch this.
Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Fernando Vargas when he fought Felix Trinidad. We had Dr. Goodman, Dr. Hermansky, Mark Ratner.
You've got
Emmanuel
a
Stewart.
lot of
and half of them are passed away now, but they're all Hall of Famers. So check it out, Boxer's Nightmare.
I'm gonna watch.
No, we're gonna watch this.
It's on YouTube and
AFI is right there by my high
we
school.
never did anything with it,
No, this is the time.
Now's the time.
You know
to bring
what?
It up.
You know what? I'm just be one of those guys. Say, Jake Paul, I want you to watch this.
Yeah.
You never know. He has the reach he has.
Yeah.
And what he fights for right now and what he believes in, You never know because that's a message that needs to be heard.
And you know what? And I went after the HBOs, the Showtimes. What did I know? I knew nothing this much about film.
It's YouTube. In this day and age, it's YouTube.
So
put it out there.
You put it out there for me.
Well, okay. If we don't get flagged,
we'll share it.
Yeah,
we will share it.
So John, he put it up on YouTube, and I'm trying to find his family don't know where all the tapes are at because So
it will find. We'll figure it out.
But it's on YouTube, so I know that we have it. But
it's a start.
But it deals with all the issues that is still affecting all combat sports right now.
I'm gonna tap into that. My high school is right there below American Film Institute up there on Los Feliz. So for sure,
check it out and let me know what you think. But it's as I look at it, and we did it like on a zero budget.
That's how everyone does it on a phone these days.
Nobody turned me down. Nobody. And I look at this. I misspelled the manager's short's name, and I couldn't change it because it's already. But it's a T.
That's all right.
It's all right.
Anyway, thanks for having me on.
Stitch, we are so grateful.
You gotta come back.
I know you need. You're here. You live here in Vegas,
I live here,
and it's so funny because I found your card fell out of my fanny pack today, and I was like, Stitch Duran. Oh my God, I have been I've been always wanting to interview him here. Well, even for Ring, and then I was like, let's just get him in. He's here in Vegas. You're coming in, and thank you for making the time for us today. We can't wait to see whose corners you're going to be in.
I'm doing the Top Rank shows. I'm their house cut man because
you and Basil.
What we did, and the COVID, they liked it so much that but it makes sense because so many young fighters don't have these
professionals.
These guys working the corners.
And imagine if you're like a newbie, you're like, oh shit, Stitch Basil's my cut man. They're more excited than the fight.
Literally, it blows their mind, but that's. They need to be taken care of.
Yes. And everybody has to watch out for this legendary man. He's going to be in Creed 3 alongside my husband. Majors.
I got to tell you Jonathan Major stories.
Please tell
me. Real quick. So,
please tell me.
I rap both Michael and Jonathan. Mm-hmm. So I don't know who Jonathan is. I didn't know who he was. He sits down, I'm rapping his hands, and I like to talk to the guys and find out this and that. Jonathan's not saying much.
He's a quiet guy.
Quiet. So finally, at the end, he gets up. I said, no, we always dap and we hug. But I found out he was in character. And that's something that was new to me because I'm not a Hollywood. I'm not an actor.
Just talk.
Yeah. And so he was in character. And after that, we became like this, best of friends, man.
I'm gonna show you a video.
He did a great.
That's her future husband.
He did a great job. There's one scene where it's a fight scene, and he did such a great job that I went from our side of the ring, to his side. I said, Jonathan, you're an asshole. I said, but in a good way, because I hate you. You did a great job. You did such a great job. Had me sold, but such a nice guy. Yeah. Graduated from Yale.
Mm-hmm. What? He did?
Just
ooh, girl, look at her twinkle in her eye.
just signed a 7-movie deal with Marvel.
Yes.
He's an movie. They're working him as being the new superstar coming up.
I love that for him.
Yeah. He told me about the bodybuilding movie that he was doing.
Yeah, that's the next one coming out. Yeah. I just interviewed him last week for Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's a great guy.
Jonathan really cool. Majors, shout out to my girl over here.
Yeah, I'll tell Jonathan.
Single and ready to mingle. Hey,
you know what time it is.
She knows what time it is. Okay, so we got to get going. All right. But we appreciate your time. We can't wait. You have to come back here whenever we're back in studio, which will be very, very soon.
We got to talk about your show. You have to come back and talk about that.
And then more of Jonathan Majors.
Always. Never tired of that subject. Never tired of that subject.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate your time, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Best Women's Boxing Show, period. Make sure you guys tune in. Look out for Boxing Nightmares on YouTube. Yeah. Stitch Duran put it out there. I mean, these are things that need to be talked about in boxing. It needs to be, the word has got to be spread out. And YouTube, you got, all of y'all, you know what to do. Repost, share, like, subscribe, and do all this stuff you guys need to do, because you guys always like to sound off on shit. This is the stuff you want to sound off on and share with the world. Jeandra, any last thoughts?
Nope, we got to wrap it on up.
Thank you for tuning in. Again, I'm Cynthia Conte.
And I'm Jeandra LeBeauf.
See you guys at the fights. Bye, guys.